Good morning, everybody. How y'all doing? Good morning, good morning, good morning. What's good, yo? How's everybody doing this morning? Just doing a few last minute technical things. I don't need my producer getting on me this morning. Actually, I don't need either one of them getting. I got two producers if y'all didn't know. One that I kind of figured would be and one that kind of surprised me. Shout out to that chick, yo. What's good, Toronto? D-Rob, my brother, salute. What's up, boo? Hey. Welcome to another Morning Motivation. I'm your host, Jamon. Morning Motivation is a place where we build community, expand our thoughts, and get our day started on the right foot. I'm so happy to be here. So happy to have you here. So as you're coming in, go ahead and hit that like button. If you want to buy your boy a cup of coffee, messages or the link is pinned to the top of the chat. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get this day started. You might be your own worst enemy. Now, I don't think this is no shocking revelation. Most of us already know that we are our own worst enemy, and sometimes our worst critic. But very rarely are we our own biggest fan. And people that are their own biggest fans, we tend to call them arrogant, egotistical, self-absorbed, narcissistic. That's not always the best words to describe something that we all should be. We should all be our biggest fans. We really should. Now, I'm not saying walking around bragging about it, telling everybody how great you are. That's another story. But we should all be excited about what we offer, what we do, what our skill set is, and have pride in we are valuable. We have value to the market in general. I think Toronto posted in our Facebook group about this $30 date, and I saw it this morning. I saw it a couple days ago, but I forgot to respond. But I went in and responded this morning, and it was a girl on TikTok, and she was offended that a guy would, send her $30 for lunch. Just so offended. And I'm starting to I felt a little way when I read it because I can eat good for $30, especially for lunch. Man, I got change left over. I got enough for lunch. Might even have enough to. I can go eat lunch and catch a. No, I can't catch no movie with $30. Yeah, but a lunch by itself, yes, that's solid. That's solid. That's solid. But anyway, so we've crossed into a space where people are very much self-absorbed. And it's not because they're confident in their ability. A lot of people are confident in, or they try to be confident in their outward adornment. And they think their outward adornment is enough to warrant certain benefits. And in some cases, that could be absolutely true. But it's always depending. It's always depending on who is looking. D-Rob said, that's D-Rob, bruh. Maybe because I'm a guy and I'm a little more simple, but that's a 4 for $5 at Wendy's. I can eat lunch almost every day this week off $30. I can stop at the local I can stop at the local spot and get me. I can go by Wendy's, yo, and get me a large fry and I can get me a 5-piece combo. I can get me 3 5-piece nuggets and a small fry. I mean, for $5. I don't know. But anyway, the term "you might be your own worst enemy" has never been so appropriate for a discussion when talking about somebody who is so entitled because they think they look good that somebody's supposed to give them more than $30 for lunch, and that they're insulted that somebody gave them $30 for lunch. As they say, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. There are some amazingly beautiful women in the world. And there are some women that I've met in my past that I had to double take, like, oh man, who was that? But then when I spoke to them, the more they talked, the less attractive they became. Now, maybe it's just me. Now, full transparency, a lot of guys out here, feel the same way. However, because the package looks so nice, I want to unwrap it. I'm going to just be honest. The package looks nice, so I want to unwrap it. Now, I've gotten older. I didn't even want to unwrap most packages, just to be honest. I'm saying as a younger man, when I would see a nice package, a nice gift, a nice, outer exterior, I'd want to unwrap it and see what was inside. And once I saw what was inside, I'm good. I can't. I'm sorry. And so now I've gotten wiser. I've gotten a little older. And I realized that sometimes the more beautiful the package, the wrapping is a compensation for something. Maybe the wrapping was the best that it had to offer. That chick, yo, said, it's a trap. And so as I've gotten older, I've understood that. And there's so many people who out here, they're pretending to be something. They're not confident in who they are. Their self-concept is low. Their value proposition is low. And so they want to make sure that they have the outward adornment. And I often talk about the guy who has the $300 Gucci belt, but he don't even have a car, and he live in a suburban area. He don't have a bus pass if he live in a city. But he got a $300. He saves all his money to get that Gucci belt just to say, I got a Gucci belt. Why? Because something else was missing. And so what we've been talking about over the last day or so, we've been talking about sowing seeds and ideas. And one of the biggest concepts that I think all of us can relate to is, especially if you grew up in the South, if you grew up around the church environment, you know there's a thing called the Bible, and the Bible has parables. And one of the parables that we're going to talk about this morning is called the parable of the sower. And I think, at least in my estimation, the parable of the sower, it's appropriate topic for most environments because it talks about growth. It talks about, you know what, instead of talking about what it talks about, I found a little animation. I don't think I'm going to play the audio to this animation because it's a little suspect on where it came from. And so I don't want to get flagged or copyright struck today. Toronto Riggin says, nope, it's not just you. Okay, so I'm not the only one. Okay, that is good to know. Shit is not, wait, hold on. Why does my screen be doing this sometime, man? It be cutting off my comments. All right, I think we're back. All right, she said, nope, it's not just you. Some women feel like that. They can look nice. They can open the hole in their face. Wait, and they open the hole in their face and like, nah, I'm good. Okay, yeah, got you. Yeah, unfortunately, that is a real thing. Unfortunately. I would love it if it wasn't true. I really would, but we don't always get what we want sometimes, right? I would love it if people on face value was who they present it to be. But that is not the case. So I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to show you this little animation that I found. I think it describes it perfectly for where we're going today. So all right, let's do this. There we go. Yeah, so I'm not gonna play the audio with it, but it talks about a farmer goes out to sow seeds. And as he's sowing these seeds, you see he's walking on the little stony path, and all the seeds are just the same. And he's just throwing them out, and they're going out to fulfill their destiny, their purpose, and they're falling everywhere because he's just indiscriminately throwing. Don't know what kind of seeds these are. He's just spreading it out there. And so they're talking about these seeds falling on the path. And as they're falling on the path, people are walking by, trampling on them. You actually have some, talk about the birds actually come and eating. He did, bro. He got trampled. And then here comes a bird coming to get them. Now, these are the ones that fell on the path. These are the ones that fell on the path. And on the path, there's nowhere to go. You can't burrow down. These guys, they fell on the rocky ground. And it was a little way to go. And they started growing up, but there's not enough root, not enough soil for them to root deeply. So when the sun comes up, the sun starts to scorch them. When it gets high in the sky, he's trying to, okay, we need to go deeper. We need to find some water. But because it's rocky ground, there's too many things in the way, too many obstacles, too many things to get around. And these are the ones who fell among the thorns. And this thorn just plotting on them, my boy, too. It's a, oh, we see you. Okay. But as soon as you start growing, it's like little gang members, right? They've been peeping. All right, run me my money, homie. Run me my money. And the thorns choke it out. The thorns choke out the seeds that you put in there. And then, of course, the final example is the ones that fell on good ground, on good soil. They sprout up. Their roots can go deep. They're living their best life. They are absolutely what you would consider thriving. And the harvest is plentiful. Shout out to the seeds that fell on good ground. Shout out to the seeds that fell on good ground. And so Since we're talking about biblical stuff, for a minute today, church, I want to talk to you about the idea of, is your mind fertile ground? Yes, church. Is your mind fertile ground? In the book of Matthew. Okay. All right, I'm gonna stop. But seriously, is your mind fertile ground? In the example we just saw, it was 4 different types of soil or environments. One was the pathway, the stony place, the place where there was pavement. The seed could not penetrate it, and therefore it was prey to people walking by, foot traffic. It was prey to the birds coming by and devouring it. It fell prey to whatever because it could not do what it was assigned to do. D-Rob said, depends on the day. Depends on the day. And so this is why we find ourselves in this social media culture, and everybody is putting up highlight clips of them living their best life, flexing, clout chasing, because people want to appear to be something. They want to appear to have the right image. They want to appear to look the part, to be the part. And so when a seed falls to the ground, it's going to encounter a few different environments. It's the same as when an idea pops into your head, or you're having a conversation with family and friends, and then some idea is sparked. And what's the first thing happen? The moment you get a good idea and you start fostering it. As a matter of fact, let's take cat heifer spray. We've been talking about cat heifer spray for a little while now. D-Rob has coined that term and given us the visuals for cat heifer spray, so we appreciate you. We're going to use it for a talking point today. So when we last left off, we talked about how these thoughts becoming things, and how, when we go to D-Rob's game, or when I'm on stage and y'all coming in and I'm bringing y'all up on stage, and we talking about spraying the haters, the people who don't mean good. An image came to mind. We saw the T-shirt, we saw the designs, we saw a brand form. How many people thought about that since I guess Monday we talked about it? Put a 1 in the chat if you thought about it any more since then. Give me a 1. Wrong one. Give me a 1 if you thought about the cat heifer spray brand idea since we last talked about it. Nobody? Okay, that chick got a 1. D-Rob said always. Always. If I'm not mistaken, we had 9, 10 people that was in the building when we talked about it. I think might have been, about 11 people in the building when we talked about it. And if these numbers are accurate, then we're looking at 3 people out of 30%. So 30% of that seed fell on not the path. Because when a seed falls in your mind, when an idea falls in your mind, or when it pops into your head, there are studies that say You have to either write it down to capture it immediately, or you have to have a conversation about it. Oh, so D-Rod really been thinking about this thing. He said it's a cat with a spray bottle, got a mean face on. That's the shirt in my head. Yeah. And so that is how ideas flow. As soon as we get an idea, if it falls on a fertile ground, then it's going to take root. And now you're going to start to envision it. You're going to start to think about it more often, more regular. But if it doesn't fall in good ground, if your mind isn't a place that's fertile to receive an idea, it may receive it, but then you've got this busy life. And it keeps choking the life out of the new ideas. Because you're super busy. You got so much going on. That's normally what my mind is. Thorny ground, because I have so many irons in the fire. And so unless it's an idea that has extreme value for me, it don't make it past the thorns. But then those ideas, they come by and they sound good, and they fall on the rocky ground in my mind. And they take root. They start growing a little bit, but then I get stressed out, anxiety, pressure happens, goes away. It wilts and dies. And then 5 years later, you see somebody on YouTube or you see a commercial or somebody selling the thing that you had the idea for. The back say, "Be gone, heifer." Disrespectfully. But that's how it happens in our mind. Just like it happens in farming. The farmer goes out to plant his seeds, just like you sit down with your vision board and your dreams and your goals. And you decide, I want to build a company. I want to build a business. I want to get my advanced degree. I just want to go to college and just figure out life. And we have these ideas. Or I want a promotion at work. And we have these ideas. And depending on where you are in life and the fertility of your mind is going to determine if that thing comes true for you. And I would pose for a second that those foregrounds that we have in farming, stony, rocky, thorny, and good soil, I think we also have the same things in our mind. We talk about the stories that we tell ourselves, right? Remember the subconscious mind? The subconscious mind is working 90% of the time. Quick recap. The subconscious mind is the place that controls your chewing, your swallowing, your breathing, your everything that your body does, the walking. You don't think left foot in front of right, left foot in front of right, left foot in front of right. People that have gone through injury and they're relearning will have to have those conscious thoughts because they're relearning a thing or learning a thing for the first time, a baby, a toddler. But as a full-grown adult with a healthy disposition, you don't think about 90% of the things that you do. Oh, I forgot to breathe. Ooh, let's breathe. So you're trying to breathe and you're trying to think about what you're talking about, what you're doing. Oh, I got to swallow. My mouth is dry. You think about none of these things. They just happen on autopilot. That's the subconscious mind at work. But also in that subconscious mind, we tell ourselves a story. I'm not good enough. Nobody's ever going to want me. All men are dogs. All women want is money. Nobody cares about me. I can't trust nobody but myself. Hey, yo, fire, bruh. D-Rob said, here I am making mental cat heifer spray bottles, and I don't even have D-Rob training shirts. Exactly like when I forget to hit brew on the coffee pot. Yeah, man. So it has to make you wonder. It has to make you wonder, especially in that scenario. What's the difference now? Why are you a group makes things simpler? That's what it is. I'm about to ask you that same question. What do you think it is? It's the community. This is a community where the ground is a little bit more fertile. A little bit more fertile in this community. So it's easier for ideas to flow because the environment is rich with it. And that's why in life, you want to surround yourself with good people. You want to seek. The Bible says, in all you're getting, get understanding. You want to seek wisdom. But not just wisdom, you want to seek the understanding. Because that's where wisdom comes from, in all honesty. All that get understanding, right? That's wisdom. When you can see a thing, you know it, you recognize it, and you know how to react to it and move with it. That's wisdom. So community, a good positive community, getting wisdom, getting understanding. Those are two forms of fertile grounds for the mind. Two forms. And Randy, actually, me and Randy, when I took baby girl back to her mom on Sunday, Randy went with me. So shout out Randy. We had a good car ride, long conversations about some stuff. We got some things popping in, coming up real soon. But he hit me with the term neuroplasticity. Well, he didn't say the word neuroplasticity, but it was a word that made me think of that. But actually, he may have said neuroplasticity because what it basically is your mind rewiring itself. Because I talk about I'm not always the fastest learner up front. I'll hear it, I'll understand it, but because it's new to me, it can't take root into my fertile soil. So I have to understand it a little bit better. I have to kind of kick it around, have to ask more questions. And then once I get it, now I can move on it. Now I can talk on it because it has to take root first. And there's sometimes we get ideas that don't take root. They sound good on surface. They may not be for us in this moment because I got some other things happening, so they never take root. It's like a senior citizen or somebody who's 50, what is a senior now, 58, 60? Anyway, somebody who's 60 and decides to go to school now and go get a bachelor's degree or get their master's degree. It's going to be a little tougher for them because they haven't done that in a very long time. So now they have to relearn some things, unlearn some things, be pliable. And neuroplasticity is basically changing the way you see things, creating new neural pathways. And that's what many of us have to do. Many of us have to do that. D-Rob said, I'm having fun making the cat have shirts with D-Rob training. Oh, man, I like it. Randy, he stayed awake this time. Surprisingly, I drove going down and coming back, but he stayed awake. He kept me company. So shout out to my guy for finally getting it right. Let's see. Is he on now? No, he ain't in here right now. He might be on right now. He just probably rolling over and listening. But yeah, so we had some really good conversations, and he kind of broke down a little bit of how I learn. And that's pretty much it. That's how I learn. The the negative stories that we tell ourselves encompass the 10% of our conscious thoughts. Think about it. 90% of our mind is on autopilot. 90% of our mind is autopilot, which means if we can get the idea into our subconscious mind, the amount of success we can have is truly unlimited. But that 10% is the soil, is that ground. The fertile land is the subconscious mind. The stony, the pathways, the rocky and the thorny grounds, that's that 10% that we got to get through. That's the 10%. That is the 10%. And that is why we might be our own worst enemy. Because of the stories we tell ourselves. Because of our fears, our insecurities, and how we believe them to be true. You know, we can lie to ourselves over and over again to a point where we'll actually start to believe it. We all know this to be true. So let me ask this question. What would happen? What would happen if, when we went back to our affirmations and we start programming ourselves and telling ourselves a different story, telling ourselves that the opposite of what we've been saying, and that we're capable, and that we deserve, and that we have the information that we need, that we have the community, the support. We have all of these things in place, and there's no reason that we can't have these things that we want. What if we told ourselves that every day? That we were talented, lovable, funny, people are going out of their way just to make our acquaintance. That the work that we do is blessed. That we are compensated over and above market rate for everything that we do. And that our passions give us life and they inspire others. What if we talk like that every day? Every time a negative thought popped into our mind, that negative story came up. What if we were to do those things? We would rewire our brains and we would create very good soil. So when an idea popped in, we would instantly think of, is it this crop worth planting? If it is, who can I connect with? How can we bring it to life? And then go out and do it. Yeah, because where attention goes, energy flows. And we talked about those frequencies and that higher level of vibration and you attracting things on the level that you are. Just like when you get that new car, all of a sudden you see that car, that color all over the place. When you find attraction to a certain type of person, everywhere you go, you see a person that reminds you of that person or somebody that's similar. The level that you get to frequency-wise, you attract things on that level. And so if you're finding it hard to get out of your own way, what is the negative story that you're telling yourself? What is the negative story? What is that self-sabotaging story that's keeping you from realizing your true potential? And no matter where you are in your journey, we've all been there. We've all been there. Hell, some of us there right now. But this community is fertile ground. This is a place where you can express yourself, not be judged, get help, get support, have community, expand your thoughts, expand your ideas, and also grow. This is fertile ground. This is a fertile space. Toronto Reagan said things will begin to manifest. Exactly. things will begin to manifest. It matters who you partner with. It matters where you work. It matters who you hang out with, because they're all helping you till their soul in your mind. So are they out there like them old country mechanics? Are they dropping gas and oil in the in your soul of your mind, making it hard for the water to get down, or is it polluting your mind? Many times we are our own worst enemies. Many times we are our own worst enemies, because we'll have people that see the greatness in us, see the goodness in us, see the beauty in us, and we'll downplay it every time. We won't embrace the validation, but we seek the validation. We're out there always trying to find a way to snatch victory, or excuse me, snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. We're out there just creating chaos in our own world, starting arguments and fights and being mad because somebody want to give us $30 for lunch that we ain't got to pay for. That sounds like somebody who has a very infertile mind. Chaos. D-Rob says, I don't know how to manifest. I just pray and say one day I'll be here. Maybe that's manifesting. That's part of it. That's part, because part of manifestation is faith. It's a strong belief, a strong desire. But that's the process we just talked about. That's exactly what it is, D-Rob. That's what it is. Manifestation is simply creating it here first. Remember, everything is inside first, then outside. Which is why we shouldn't be as impressed by how cute somebody is or how handsome somebody is. Because the greatness of a person is an internal thing. Tell them about, say it again, Geronimo. Yes, you do. You're already doing it. Without a positive mindset, life is hard. With a negative mindset comes a headache and depression. Life is... My thoughts have been changing on this, and I think I'm actually going to a new mental level myself. I would always say life is hard no matter the mindset. Having a positive mindset just makes it easier to maneuver. Having a negative mindset, it just makes it that much more miserable. But I don't think... I generally don't like to give my thoughts on things before I've kind of fully fleshed it out, but since we're talking about it, I don't think life is hard per se. I mean, life is life. Life is life. Life is only easy when you are put in position so it doesn't affect you the way it affects most other people. And life is only hard when you don't have the advantages or the resources to maneuver across the hurdles. So I think life is pretty neutral. Life is pretty fair. It is pretty fair. Depending upon your community and your circumstances, though. If you live in these United States, life is probably fairer here than is anywhere else, because it's people who mess things up. It's people who put borders and boundaries in place. Life itself, the essence of who we are, I don't think it's complicated. I think it's very fair. I think it's neutral. I think we choose and we decide what we do with our lives. I think the ground that we settle on, remember, sometimes you got to move. Kay said, we make life hard with our expectations of ease. Yeah. Yeah, I think life is precious. Life is a gift. A gift. It's just so often we're behind the power curve and we're trying to figure out, and this is not even a racial thing. Most Americans are behind the power curve. That's why we believe in like the Illuminati. We believe the super rich are controlling the world and staying in power. And to some extent that is true. But it's the nature of the beast of capitalism. It's the nature of the beast. But it is truly an equal opportunity. You may not come from the same place, but wherever you are, you can grow and be successful. Sometimes you may have to move to a new environment to grow and be successful. If you want to be an actor, if you want to be a famous actor or a famous celebrity, and you growing up in some small town in Missouri, you might need to move. You might need to move. Unless you want to start out an acting troupe there and build production there. And so depending on what we want, we make our roads harder or we make them easier. But it's generally based off what we want, how we perceive it. Another thing that gets in our way is the cognitive biases that we all have. The pre-assumptions that we make before we actually know what's really going on. Because somebody else did something to you, it just makes sense that next person is going to do it too. So our negative self-talk, negative environments, and cognitive biases, those are our 3 bad grounds that make us our own worst enemy. Those are the ones that cause us the most frustration, the most harm, the most mental anguish, and we have control over all of them. And I'll go back at the fear of saying the same thing over and over again. That's what affirmations are for. D-Rob, especially when you are, when you talk about being depressed, when you're talking about having a negative mindset giving you headaches. We get to choose, and this is why I say life is fair. We get to choose what we speak. We get to choose how we act. And we get to program our minds, because guess what? Somebody's programmed our mind to where it is. We've had help from a lot of people. But at the end of the day, and I never thought I'd be saying those words again, I hate that phrase. When it comes down to it, shout out to me. When it comes down to it, we are the author of this life that we're living. We determine. We decide if we want to believe in faith, or believe in God. We decide, we look in our own hearts and decide if we want to have children, we want to get married, have relationship, have job, what kind of job. We get to decide what outfit we wear today, if we're going to take a bath and brush our teeth and smell good or just not care. We get to choose. We decide everything concerning our lives. Well, the things we can't control. Some things are out of our control. Fair point. But everything else, we control. And if we choose to have a negative mindset, then we're accepting the results that come with that. But if we choose to have a positive mindset, there's a way to rewire that brain. There's a way to rewrite your coding on the inside, how your mind works. Neuroplasticity. I know that sounds like a big word in a medical term, and it's something that I wouldn't use every day. But that's what it is. We talk about it's harder to raise well-adjusted children than to fix broken adults. You know why that is? Somebody tell me why that is. Why is it easier to raise more well-adjusted children than repair broken adults? Toronto says, Life can be challenging, especially when we fight against the process and fight within ourselves. Yeah, we all have somewhat of a rebellious spirit. We all do. And it stems a lot from insecurities, fear, that negative story that we tell ourselves. The negative story that we tell ourselves. So does anybody have an answer for that question? I know there's a little bit of a delay, so I'm trying to let a little time go by. Kay said it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks. Yes, but why? Why is it hard to teach an old dog new tricks? Does that mean an old dog can't learn? Nope. That's not what it means. Old dogs can learn. I'm going to shortcut it, though. An old dog has to want to learn a new trick. You see, what happens is we get set in our ways because of the story we keep telling ourselves. We get stuck in our ways and we make a choice to not go any further. We make a choice to give in, to give up, to let it settle. And because of that, we get no further. The ground becomes hard, and so when ideas flow, yeah, that might work for you, but it'll never work for me. It might work for them folk over there, but we can never do it. Man, you know black people ain't doing stuff like that, man. Come on now. Why you fooling yourself, young buck? I've heard that so many times. Kay says, shout out to Kay this morning, y'all. Drop that bomb. That brokenness has been ingrained for so long that it's difficult to get someone to see themselves differently. Exactly. And so when it comes down to it, we become our own worst enemies. And because we're our own worst enemy, and I'm not talking about anybody in this room, but where do you think trolls come from? These internet trolls? There are people who are unhappy largely. They're unhappy. They're not being super productive unless being a troll is how they make their money. But they see the worst in everybody, which tells me that they see the worst in themselves as well. And they think everybody else is just like them. And that's a sad space to be. But the reason we have so much, trolls are rewarded quite often. And all these burner accounts, and a lot of people don't want you to know who they are because they have respectable careers and jobs, and so they get burner accounts and they spew the most vile stuff, the most hating stuff. And so they're basically throwing the rock and hiding their hand. What happened? I don't know. Because that feels something inside of them. It makes them feel important, special. I don't know. I've never been a troll. I never cared enough to be a troll. I've always had too much other stuff happening to care much about what somebody else has going on or how their life ain't going right. And that's why it's hard for me to do reaction videos, because I'm not really, I never try to figure out why people think the way they do. Because it's been their experience, their story has made them, and it's just too deep of a rabbit hole. But at the same time, I am a fan of psychology and like attachment styles and love language. I love those things, and I love breaking it down and diagnosing it, but not to make fun of or make light of, but to give understanding of how it can be avoided, what can be done to get away from it. Yep, Toronto says some people are just set in their own ways or old ways. Yep, exactly. I had a guy tell me years ago, he told me, he said, do everything I wanted to do by the time I was 40. Because after 40, you get set in your ways and it's where you're going to be. And I thought that was the wisest advice anybody had ever given me up until that point. And then I crossed 40. I crossed 40 and I realized that wasn't necessarily true. Because he was an older guy. He was, if he were still alive today, he'd probably be like 80, 85, 86 or something like that. And in his era, 40 was old. 40, you were over the hill because most people didn't even make it to 60. Today, people making it to 90, 100. People died 60. They were like, oh, they were still young. And relatively, if you live to be 80, at 40, that's midlife. At 60, man, you left 20 years too soon. But anyway, I digress. But those are why we might be our own worst enemy, y'all. Because our minds are not fertile ground. We have too many negative concepts. We're in negative communities, or we're not in any community at all. There's no water source. What does a seed need to grow? It needs water, oxygen, and the right temperature. Water, oxygen, and the right temperature. That's what a seed needs to grow. Because water, oxygen, and the right temperature, that's the only environment that it really needs. People grow plants in bottles and jars with no dirt. You don't even need dirt. They need water, oxygen, and the right temperature. So those the three things that we need in our lives daily. And we can start by doing those affirmations. Being in a community, in a group that supports us, that believes in us, that wants our success. And in all that getting, get understanding. Because when we understand things, we fear them less. Fear of the unknown is one of the greatest fears, which is why people hate public speaking. Fear of the unknown. But then there's also fear of rejection, the fear of not being accepted. They're similar, but very different. But the more understanding, the more skill you get at a thing, the less fearful you become of it. And so going forward today, I want you to be conscious of the negative story that you tell yourself. Whenever an idea pops into your mind, if you instantly start shooting it down, if a person tries to come and talk to you and you instantly start to shoot them down, he might not be a bum. She might not be a gold digger. You never know. Now, I ain't saying give everybody a shot either. What I'm saying is, beware of the negative story that you tell yourself about these things. That's all I'm saying. Because so many times in life, you never know what happens. You never know what's going to happen in life. You could be working hard to get a movie role or get a job, and somebody else get the job, and you instantly go into the woe is me's, and that person get on the job, and 30 days later, they calling you back because that person was a liar. They didn't have the skill, the qualification, or the know-how. They liked you for the right reasons, but they chose the other person for the wrong reason. Now they want to circle back and be like, hey, could you come back? Or we don't have this position available because we filled it, but we do have another one that we love to get you into. The right mindset is fertile ground. You see opportunities. There's plenty of oxygen there. There's plenty of water there. Fertile ground. And an adequate temperature, the right temperature. That's what we need, man. And so in order for us to stop being our own worst enemy, we have to be open to the idea that some of our thinking may be flawed. Some of our processes need to be rewired, reworked, and that we're not always God's gift to everything or everybody. We're flawed, but we're improving every day. Every day in every way, I'm getting better and better. Gratitude, humbleness, hard work, and a positive mindset are all within our control. So as I tell my children, I tell my wife, I tell my mom, control the things that you can control. Control the things that you can control. How and why, that's God's business. That's God's business. It's not ours. Our business is to make sure that we show up, that we are who we say we are, we do what we said we're going to do. We can control those things. We can't control all the outcomes. We can't control how other people feel about it. We just can't control what we can control. So, ladies and gentlemen, I encourage you to revisit some of the older episodes. If you're struggling with vision or affirmations, go back to some of those old videos and look. Keep surrounding yourself with people. Channels like this. Like, comment, subscribe, share. But also seek to get understanding. Seek to get understanding of why a negative story keeps playing over in your mind. Because until you do that, you're going to continue to have the not ideal results. And I know we want to have the best results. So ladies and gentlemen, it's hump day. And I got a hump of a day. So I'm leaving here, going straight to my chiropractor. Leaving there, going to the job, got a class. Leaving there, going to another city, got a gig tonight. So when I sign off today, I'm leaving home 5 minutes after I sign off, and I won't be back home probably until maybe 10:30 tonight. So y'all be praying for your boy that I got traveling mercies, that these angels are dispatched to keep me safe, and that my day goes well. And I pray the same for you. So you guys be blessed. Make today a great day no matter what. Shout out to Health Talk. Shout out to you, Randy, Craig G, Brick by Brick, and everybody that I don't see in the chat, but I know you're there. Shout out to everybody who's been here, who continually showing up, who's managing me with my vocabulary, with my graphics. I really appreciate you more than you know. So you guys have a great day. I'll see you. Not sure about Friday because I'm working Friday too, but I'll try to pop in some other time. All right, y'all be blessed. Talk soon. Be safe and peace.